Media and marginality. In a country like India, which is full of marginality and minority, there are minorities of various types: linguistic, ethnic, religious, uh, geographical, everything, because it is we have to deal with. And a democracy, media has a big role to play. There are stereotyping, as has been said elaborately, but how to deal with media in case of marginal areas, marginal people, and how media is doing. You have seen it from the activists, from the NGOs, from the professions outside media. Now, basically, the first deliberations, who does not require any introduction, Marya Shakil, she is a very senior journalist, anchor, correspondent, and who has gone to various places, and she has almost specialized on dealing with issues regarding minorities and marginal people, not only a particular group of minorities or various minorities. So you have seen in the first session the certain nuances, and obviously the references come that how media deals with such issues, but now from within the media, that why media and how media deals with the issues of minorities, at least from the experience of a very senior practicing journalist. Maria, please.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everybody who has come, and a big thank you to this university. A special thank you to Ghazalapa and everybody who thought that I could come and participate and perhaps speak to everybody. This, unlike the previous session where the thinkers had much more to speak, my experiences about journalism and how the media has dealt with multiple questions about minorities is coming from my continuous travel across India and my reportage. Of most recent ones being of Uttar Pradesh elections and Punjab that I covered, in which I've traveled quite a bit, and before that I was in Kerala doing a show called The Minority Report. I'm going to play parts of that, and we'll make this session very, very interactive. I want you to ask me questions about when I say a particular thing, why I say so. During the UP elections, as journalists, when we approach a ground zero or an epicenter of any election space, we look at various communities and castes which are dominant. This time around as well, there were multiple castes: the Jats of Uttar Pradesh, the non-Yadav OBCs, the OBCs, the Yadavs, the Muslims, because of the percentage, 18%, 19%, 21%, above that. The entire eastern Uttar Pradesh was all about non-Yadav OBCs, somewhere ranging between 35 to 40%. Western UP and parts and Awadh was about 18 to 20%. Yes, 18 to 20% Muslims. So the first show that we did was called Uttar Pradesh Parivar, UP Parivar. It talks about 6 families: Jats, Yadavs, Muslims, non-Yadav OBCs, and Yadavs. And one more, you'll be able to see that. These 6 families and what are their thoughts. We went without a script. We did not preconceive or prejudge what they thought. I'm going to play a part of that about Dalits and Muslims only. I'm not going to play the complete show for you. But the point that I'm going to make towards the end of it is that there cannot be something more disturbing for a community, particularly the Muslims and the Dalits, who were considered important in terms of their numerical strength, and now they're not even counted for. The reason why I'm emphasizing the word not counted for was because BJP, perhaps being on your face, has said that they did not give tickets to Muslims because they were not winnable. They were declared unwinnable. So the Muslims were not given tickets. And still, towards the end, 19% Muslims of UP do not matter after this election. That is the conclusion that you have come to. What is most worrying in Punjab? 32% Dalits. Do Dalits matter in the discourse? They do not matter. So a community which could have been the deciding the course of election, deciding the course of election discourse, has been declared not important, and that is perhaps most worrying for the community. I'm going to play parts of my election show on UP. That will be UP Parivar. We'll play UP Parivar, how caste dominates Uttar Pradesh, and we'll play part of it. Yes. This is the show that I do before elections. It's called Reportage Project. The audio is the problem? Yes. So I'm going to play part of the bit on Muslims and on.
आप कह सकते हैं कि जो है ब्राह्मण बीजेपी ब्राह्मणों की पार्टी है।
सपा तो हो ही नहीं सकती दलितों की, बीजेपी भी दलितों की नहीं हो सकती है।
मायावती जी के टाइम में ज्यादा सेफ फील करते हैं।
Hello everyone, we are coming to you from one of India's greatest and most recognizable architectural achievements, the Taj Mahal. As much an enduring symbol of love as of Mughal power and family politics.
कभी अखिलेश कभी मायावती लूट के शहबाई को पेरिस बना दिया।
लोग ये मालूम है कि नेताओं का कोई चरित्र बचा नहीं।
On this episode of Reportage Project, we are traveling across Uttar Pradesh to try and understand the enduring impact of caste on Indian politics and why it has become the default model of electoral mobilization in the country.
Over the next half hour, we will be meeting 6 families in 6 different regions of the state to understand whether they will vote their caste when they cast their vote.
Is a vote individual or is it collective? And are political parties over-investing in their caste calculations when the story could well lie somewhere else? Our first stop on this journey is 500
जात या कोई धर्म किसी
much beyond its sign of the
As long as it's
shifted political
कोई भी राजनीतिक
is Muslim appeasement.
हज कमेटी मैंने बनाया, हज हाउस हमने बनाया, अपनी पार्टियों का एक अलग अलग एजेंडा होता है और शायद उसी एजेंडा के तहत भाजपा ने भी राम मंदिर का मुद्दा उठाया होगा।
The upper caste vote in Uttar Pradesh is highly individualistic, more likely to root for a candidate of his caste than to vote for a party and bloc. Their one big grouse against the Samajwadi Party is Muslim appeasement. At 19.2%, the Muslims of Uttar Pradesh attract many theories and political strategies. The Samajwadi Party's landslide win in the 2012 elections was built on the edifice of the Muslim vote combined with that of the Yadavs. Muhammad Anwar, a brass exporter in Muradabad, is preparing his grandson Ashjad to take over his business, one that has taken 55 years to build. The feud in the ruling Yadav Parivar is one that he has keenly followed. He says generational transition is natural, be it in business or in politics.
अखिलेश यादव एक नुमाया चेहरा है इस वक्त यूपी में, तो मुलायम सिंह साहब को मेरा अपना नजरिया है कि मुलायम सिंह साहब को भी इस एज में आने के बाद उन्हें रिटायर हो जाना चाहिए था 7 के, जिस तरीके से एक क्रिकेटर रिटायर हो जाता है।
In the 2014 general elections, Uttar Pradesh didn't send a single Muslim MP to parliament because their vote splintered. At around 50%, the literacy rate amongst Muslims in Uttar Pradesh is far below the state's average of 68%. Anwar says it is one of the reasons why the community has become a liability for all governments.
गवर्नमेंट से बिलोंग नहीं कर रहा, न मैं गवर्नमेंट से चाह रहा कि वो हमें भीख का प्याला दे। हम तो खुद चाहते यही है कि हम अपने पैसे से पढ़ाएं। हम वाई शुड बी हम गवर्नमेंट पे बोझ बने। गवर्नमेंट समझे ये मुसलमान जो है बोझ बन गया है हिंदुस्तान पे। अरे हमारे पास अगर पैसा है, हमारे पास 10 रुपए हैं तो हम 2.5 रुपए निकाल दें उसमें।
करते हैं कि उनको संरक्षण मिले।
Dalits of Uttar Pradesh, the Bahujan Samaj Party is a natural choice. Even during the Modi wave of 2014, the Dalits stood firmly behind their Behenji, voting en bloc, though it didn't translate into any seats for her.
दलितों में बहुत सारे ऐसे परिवार मिलेंगे कि जहाँ एक मेल तो आगे की ओर बढ़े लेकिन फीमेल जो है अभी
Babita and her husband say that for a Dalit, caste is a reality they face every day, and what they want from a government is respect above anything else.
राजनीतिक लोगों से ये वो आशा करते हैं कि उनको संरक्षण मिले, उनको मान मिले, उनको सम्मान मिले, लोग उनकी भावनाओं को समझें, लोग उनकी लड़कियों के साथ बलात्कार ना करें, लोग उनके ऊपर अत्याचार ना करें। सपा तो हो ही नहीं सकती दलितों की, बीजेपी भी दलितों की नहीं हो सकती है।
BSP chief Mayawati is hoping that her experiment to bring Muslims, to whom she has given 99 tickets this time, and Dalits together, can make her queen of Uttar Pradesh once again. Satish Prakash, a physics professor, says this experiment could work as the two minority groups have much in common.
इस देश का दलित ये महसूस करता है कि जब तक यहाँ मुस्लिम जिंदा है तब तक दलित सुरक्षित है, जब तक मुस्लिम रहेगा तब तक मुस्लिम नंबर 1 दुश्मन रहेगा हिंदुओं का। जिस दिन इस देश में मुस्लिम नहीं होगा दलित पहले नंबर का दुश्मन होगा।
Coming up next, a very bumpy ride.
So we have two communities which are minorities, significantly present but minorities. As a journalist, the question that I ask, what am I talking about in terms of how am I representing this community? Because I am doing stories in a visual medium, the images and the context in which I present them is important for me. I faced the same question in 2012 when I covered the UP elections. The same language that I heard then, I'm hearing again. The language of Muslims of UP is not the same. They are talking about equal participation and not reservation. Interestingly, this time around, none of the political parties mentioned the word reservations when they went for election. Perhaps they had understood how the community was looking at issues that affect them. So as a journalist, when we approach these questions, it's a visual medium, I'm emphasizing again, should we go with the stereotypes or should we look at a narrative that is emerging from within the community which is talking about a different trend? What Muhammad Alam told me in Moradabad was important. He told me an aspect which I know because I am from the community. He talked about zakat and how the Muslims need to take charge of their own destiny. Dalits too face the similar question after their Dalit party is no longer relevant in the discourse that matters. When we, time and again, we are told that we are responsible for stereotyping communities, that we do not really reflect what is there on the ground. Again, the point that I was trying to make while I was listening to my very, someone I'm very, very fond of, Fazur Sahab, and he told me, he said that, why should we let others hijack the discourse? That is what has been happening. If we make an attempt at talking about a community in a different way, so during Punjab elections, when I was talking about the Dalits, when nobody else was talking about Dalits of Punjab, they are very important in Doaba region of Punjab, they're very important in the other regions of Punjab. They are looking at music and other forms of discourse as asserting their identity. Dalits of Punjab are asserting their identity like never before. There is massive change that is happening on the ground in which young Dalit singers are emerging. That is also a reflection of how they understand that despite, it's very interesting that Punjab today has the highest percentage of Dalits in India and they do not have any representation in the Punjab Assembly. Even the state of Punjab doesn't send a single Dalit MP to Parliament. BSP is not a player in Punjab. They field candidates years after year. They have fielded candidates for several years, and they have not managed to get a single MLA. Kashi Ram was from Punjab, and look what has happened to the Dalit question in Punjab itself. So when we approached that show of Dalits in Punjab, the idea was again to talk about the community in terms of the changes that have occurred in the community. Ever since Kashi Ram was, undergoing or reading the society to what it has become now, how Dalits are moving away from several issues. They have become very important in corporate sector. They have become very important in businesses. They are playing very important role in how they are now finding their spaces in various political parties. And during the course of that, I had come to the conclusion, in which I had also written a piece, that Dalits have moved completely, they had moved completely away from BSP, and they are not even going to, say, Aam Aadmi Party. They are not looking at having their own party either. They are finding spaces in every region based on the candidate, which is very different from how the Dalits in, say, a UP were looking at their own issues. So when we approach a society as a journalist, I think the first big challenge that we are facing now is, should we look at the older narrative, the narrative that has been drilled in again and again, or should we make an effort in talking about a narrative that is building, that is emerging, that is also a reflection of changes that are happening within various minority groups. So that is about the Dalits of Punjab. This is what I'm saying about the Muslims of UP. The Muslims of UP, I met them in Muslim-dominated districts such as Moradabad, Rampur, Amroha, Saharanpur, and I was sure about them talking about issues that were almost relevant to any other community. So the stereotype or the myth of the Muslim vote bank had been broken much before the election started. So as journalists, when we place a group of minorities, Muslim women, and it's often told to me that one of my senior editors gave me a call and he said, you are in Rampur, so how about having a chat with Muslim women? All of them should be wearing burqas. I said, I mean, what do you want? He said, no, but how do you establish a Muslim woman then if she doesn't wear a burqa? I said, I'm a Muslim woman and I have a thought. And most Muslim women that I met in Rampur had told me that they are not looking at Samajwadi Party as the party that will be their savior, that they were looking at issues of safety, security. And the Muslim women issue was similar to women issues of various communities, because I had met Jat women belonging to the Jat community in, say, Meerut. I had met women belonging to a Dalit community in other districts of Uttar Pradesh. They were speaking the same language. The language was about safety, security. Their issues was not different from what Muslim women face. So when we look at the question of reporting and the minority question, I am saying that increasingly the challenge that we are facing is the new trends that have emerged, the new language that has emerged. It's about just projecting and presenting that new language. And this is the new language of change. When I raised that question with the previous panelists about attempts being made to hijack it, I had talked about it also during the course of one of the TV debates. I had said, because I cover the BJP, I cover the government. The party that I've covered, I've covered the BJP for close to 9 years. So when they were in opposition, now they are in government. So I know how they function in terms of, what their thought process was. And when I asked those questions to several senior ministers, and also when I interviewed Mr. Shah during the Delhi elections, I think it's right on your face. The writing is on the wall. It's being said directly without any cover. It's not packaged in a particular way. If they say that Muslims are unwinnable, they believe in it and they have said it to you. So a community that has been declared so, it's the onus on the community to change the rules of engagement, and they have to engage now. The Muslim manifesto or the minority manifesto has to be written by the members of the community, not by outsiders, and hence, be it the issue of triple talaq, because I've done a show and that will be broadcast next week, all these questions will come to us again and again. The way we present it, in terms of the media, should not be blamed for reporting in a particular way, because there are certain sections of the society that we are reflecting, and they want to hear this. They are the number of Muslim women that I have met in the last 1 week during the course of for doing that show on triple talaq. All of them kept talking about the need to abolish triple talaq. If we are talking about it and reflecting it on television, that is also on the way the Muslim women themselves are talking about it.
Thank you, Marya. That could only come from you because you have extensively traveled, went to the grassroots to redefine the electoral politics of marginality and minority, the new narratives which you have just said, and the Muslim vote bank is changing. That is something very, very interesting. As we, even in West Bengal, we talk about the consolidation of the minority votes and non-minority votes in perspective of political grouping and regrouping. And another thing which I noticed is regrouping of marginalized, that it is not by religion, it is because of the fact that they need development, they need safety, they need security. So the regrouping of marginalized, and a nice comparison between two marginalized groups, one is Dalits and another is religious minority called Muslims. It's a nice thing that what you have seen, you have captured and you have represented to us. Thank you very much.